Tiffany briefly hesitated. Then she skirted the desk and settled in the chair next to him, her movements graceful and unhurried. Quiet dignity surrounded her, like armor, and something else that intrigued him. It was in her eyes, a soul-deep sadness, as if she grieved for something. He shrugged it off, chalking it up to the fact that she'd lost her husband 2 years earlier. "Okay," he said in a low voice, heavy with challenge. "I'm listening." She dropped her head for a moment. That was another of her girlhood traits. She'd always had a hard time looking him in the eye when they talked about intimate subjects. The word sex would have had her burying her face in her hands or on his chest. "Joey is your son." "That I'd figured out for myself. Does he know?" "He knows that Les Covington was not his father. Les and I explained that to him when he was 9. Joey knows his real father is, well, he thinks you're still in prison." That hit him in the gut. It was the truth, something the boy needed to know, but still, it burned him to think that the biggest thing his own son knew about him was that he'd done time. He paused. Tiffany hated profanity. How many times in her girlhood had she reminded him of that fact, even making him promise to curtail his rough vocabulary around her? Well, he would keep the promise, not for her, but because the value of his word was all he had left of his honor. "Why did you tell him that?" "I'm sure you could have found a better way to make him hate me. You didn't have to tag him with having a jailbird for a father." Her head came up, and she lifted her chin defiantly. "I believe that giving my son the truth is the best way of protecting him from untruths. He knows his father went to prison unfairly. He does not hate you." Indignation flew like a flag over every word. It was clear that she didn't appreciate having her motives questioned, especially when it came to her son. "Does he know that every man in that stinking prison says he's there unfairly? Do you really expect him to believe that in my case it's true? And even if he does, what difference will it make now?" Corey could not sit another minute. He had to move or explode. He sprang from his chair and circled to stand behind it. Her cautious eyes followed him. "He believes it because I gave him proof." Corey stopped breathing as his mind decoded the betrayal implied in her words. All this time, she'd had proof? He struck with the speed of a coiled snake, taking 2 strides to reach her chair. Grabbing both her arms, he yanked her to her feet, his trembling hands circling her throat and pushing her head up. He wanted to see the firestorm he knew was in her eyes. "Please, Corey." Her eyes begged him to back off, but it was 10 seconds too late as the scent of her perfume rushed over him. The feel and smell of her, so familiar, so mind-torturously painful, caused sweat to beat on his body. Desire, pounded and compounded by years of subjection, burst through the bars of his restraint. He fought to push it back, to wipe out his weakness for this woman, a weakness that mocked him as a fireball of need burnt away the threads of his control, jumping every break he'd carefully set. One hand purposefully moved up the back of her head. Silken threads of lavender-scented hair clung to his fingers. He used the advantage to lift her mouth to his. Her gasp gave him instant access to her moist inner chamber. In a shadowed corner of his mind, he knew she struggled to free herself from his hold. He wanted to free himself as well. Instead, one traitorous hand slipped to the curve of her waist and drew her closer. A voice penetrated his rage as a body rammed into his back. "Get away from my mother!" The words, effective as flame retardant, left Corey standing in the ashes of his scorched emotions. For the boy's sake, he needed to do something, and quick. "It's okay, boy." The fist pummeling Corey's back continued their attack. Corey gently brushed the back of his hand across Tiffany's cheek. "Tiff, tell the boy it's going to be all right. Tell him to back away." She nodded. "Joey." Her voice barely carried past her own lips. He would have to do this himself. He loosened his hold on her slowly. When he was sure she was steady, he let go of her. Then he spun around, grabbed the boy by the back of his shirt, and jerked him an inch off the ground. "Your mother is fine. Look for yourself." He swung in the right direction. "Now stop struggling, and I'll let you go." The boy stopped. Corey lowered him to the ground and gave him a gentle push toward his mother. Mother and child clung to each other. He followed the movement of Tiffany's hands as they gently caressed the head that lay cradled against her breast. The scene emasculated him. Maybe he did deserve to be behind bars with the rest of the world's scum. When she spoke to the boy, he was sure of it. "Joey, Corey didn't hurt me." Joey pulled out of his mother's arms. He seemed to grow 6 inches as he stepped away from her and turned to face Corey. "My mom is a lady. She never lies. All the same, I don't like the way you treat her. You may be bigger than I am, but if you hurt her, I'll come after you." Corey rolled that over in his mind for a moment. His son had just threatened him with who knew what. While he was proud of the kid's spunk, his reckless disregard for consequences would land him in big trouble one day. The old woman had been right. His son needed a man in his life to channel that raw cussedness into something closer to productive grit. "Boy, you did right to defend your mother. However, I'll give you some good advice. When you threaten a man, you'd better be ready to back it up right then. You get my meaning?" The boy's eyes grew into round saucers of self-doubt and then narrowed in defiance. This kid was his, all right. He was going to have to learn all his lessons the hard way, just like his father. "I believe I asked you a question, boy. I expect an answer." "Yeah, I got your meaning." "I believe you meant yes, sir, didn't you?" Joey looked at his mom for direction. Tiffany glared at Corey. She wasn't too happy with his method of handling the boy, and she was probably right. He was too used to striking first and asking questions later. That attitude might have kept him alive in prison, but it wasn't going to be effective with his son. She sent him a silent warning with her glacial blue eyes and then turned to her son. "Mr. Donovan deserves your respect, Joey." The kid gave her a long breath but didn't argue. "Yes, sir, I got your meaning." Good. Corey took the challenge out of his voice. Now that we have that settled, your mom and I have some things to discuss privately. You can leave the room without worrying about her. I won't harm her. I give you my word. Mom? Joey questioned his mom while not taking his eyes off Corey. It's all right, Joey. Tiffany squeezed her son's shoulder. Go get some of Mrs. Stewart's fresh tea cakes, and I'll join you shortly.